The prison still stands, and the gang is settling down and starting a new chapter in their lives.
But where's the old Gov? Has he turned a new leaf, or does he still seek vengeance on Rick?
We got you covered, World Wide Web. I'm Ian Start.
And I'm Brian Mitchell.
And this is the Skybound Rundown.
So Rick is a farmer now? Title sequence! Everyone seems to be doing great. Glenn's still getting it, Tyrese has a sugar mama, kids are in love with Daryl, Beth kisses boys now, Carl is learning agriculture, and Michonne returns. Daryl leads a group to the mother of all supplies, Big Spot. As they gather resources, walkers literally fall from the heavens and eat Zach.
We didn't know you that well, so goodbye, Zach.
Carol secretly teaches Patrick, Lizzie, Mika, and the other children how to protect themselves. Carl catches her and runs off to tell Daddy. After a long day for everyone, the camp goes to sleep. Patrick, who has been feeling sick all day, collapses in the bathroom and dies.
He rises and finds a nice midnight snack. The next morning, panic erupts as the cell block now has multiple walkers.
Hey, talk about morning breath.
The group has been hit with a deadly case of the flu. As the crew helps secure the block and get rid of the spooky boys, Carol is faced with putting down Lizzie and Mika's father. Of course, walkers are crowding the outer fences, almost knocking them down. But Rick's got a plan to fix it.
Not the piggies.
Moment of silence for these little piggies. Tyrese then goes to visit Karen, but...
As Glenn and the others bury the dead, Tyrese is fuming at what happened to Karen. He knocks Rick around a little bit and heads out to dig Karen's grave. Sasha checks herself into the sickly cell block, along with Lizzie and Glenn.
But Glenn's gotta keep getting it.
Sucks.
Herschel enters the Dungeon of Death to help Dr. Caleb and the sick. Daryl takes Michonne, Tyrese, and Bob on a nice little journey to locate antibiotics. Except they drive right into a huge sea of walkers.
Reverse, Daryl, reverse!
Only to the Dodge Charger's demise. They make a run for it. Meanwhile, Rick has found his suspect. Good old Melissa fucking McBride.
Carol and Rick head out on a supply run to find some munchies.
Oh, really?
While searching, they run into a couple who want to earn their keep at the prison. They send them off to gather supplies, and it doesn't go so well. Following this, Rick confronts Carol about the murders and leaves her to fend for herself.
Godspeed, Carol.
Daryl, Michonne, Tyrese, and Bob are struggling to get all of the meds. They narrowly escape while Bob succumbs to an old habit and almost fucks everything up again.
Rick returns and tells Maggie and Herschel about Carol. They agree with his decision. Walkers break through the outer perimeter, and Rick and Maggie hold down the wall as best as they can. Herschel tends to the sick, but the inevitable happens. Rick and Maggie hear the gunshot, and Maggie makes a run for the ward to help Pops. With no one else to help,
Carl!
He lets Carl out of hiding. They massacre the stampede of the living dead, and Rick realizes something. He can't hide Carl from the world any longer. Inside the prison, Herschel takes down the turned group members, including Caleb.
Dr. Caleb? No!
They save Glenn, but the losses are staggering. They've survived yet another major hit. Maybe they can catch a break. Fucking creeper, when did he get back? Flashback!
After the Woodbury massacre, Martinez deserts the Gov, who is left to wander the streets in search of answers. He finds a family consisting of Lily, Tara, Father David, and little Megan, who are held up in an apartment building. David has cancer, and his time comes to an end. After being shielded from the world, the Chandler girls get a taste of reality. The Gov starts giving smooches to Lily and takes Megan under his wing. It's almost as if he replaced his old family with a new one. Anyways, they begin to search for a new home, but they're chased. The Gov trips and falls into an old friend.
Holy shit.
He helps Brian and sweet little Megan out of the pit, but sets the story straight.
I'm in charge.
Tara finds herself a hot mama, and the Brian, helps Martinez, Mitch, and Pete hunt in a nice rated PG forest.
We got beer.
They spend the night in an abandoned cabin, where B-Dog seems to be having a blast.
Maybe he's changing for the best.
Fuck no, he isn't.
Rat bastard!
He feeds Martinez to the walkers, where Pete finds his remains later on. Pete takes control of the camp, but that doesn't last long either. Now Brian's got control of the camp with the help of Mitch, and puts his plan into motion. Dun, dun, dun.
The Gov takes Herschel and Michonne into custody and convinces the group that taking the prison is their only chance at safety. Lily doesn't like his plan and stays behind with Megan, who plays in the dirt, filled with walkers.
Megan, no!
The Gov reaches the prison and sits Herschel and Michonne down in front of Rick, who tries to talk the Gov out of his plans. They can live safely, together. There doesn't need to be any harm done to anyone.
Liar.
Fuck that shit!
The camp goes ham and starts firing away at the Gov's group, who storms the gates. Lily brings dead Megan to the Gov, which only makes him angrier.
Kill them all.
The battle is underway, and Rick and the Gov have their own face-to-face smackdown. Right before the Gov can kill Rick, no worries, Lily finishes the job. Daryl and the group push them back, but the prison is destroyed. They've lost their home, and the group is forced to dismantle and separate.
With the prison in shambles, Michonne makes 2 more walker cloaks and heads out on her own to find whomever she can. Meanwhile, Rick and Carl try to find refuge. Carl is being a fucking brat again, mistaking his dad's compassion and meticulous thinking for lack of action and responsibility. They find a nice house where Rick falls into a deep sleep as he heals. Carl goes out on his own again because he's all badass and, well... he eats a giant tub of pudding and heads home. He checks in on his father, who seems to be acting like a walker, just before Carl has to do the impossible again.
Carl.
Whew! His father is back, and so is one more friend.
We pick up with Daryl and Beth as they search for any of the survivors from the group. Tyrese, Mika, Lizzie, and Judith are fighting to keep each other alive. For the most part. Until an unexpected visitor arrives.
Fuck yes, Carol.
Maggie, Sasha, and Bob are still on their grueling search for Glenn, but still no sign of him.
Has anyone checked the prison?
Naturally, that's exactly where he is, and has to fight his way out of his former home. While doing so, he teams up with Tara, former member of the Gov's camp, to get out of the prison. Glenn takes a nap, and they make some new friends in the process.
When Glenn wakes up, he's introduced to Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene, but he hops off and heads back on his path to find Maggie. After Eugene shoots up their truck, they decide to accompany Glenn and Tara.
Fucking Eugene.
Son of a dick.
Back in Rickland, Carl and Michonne go out on a supply run while Rick catches some Z's. He's awoken when a group of men discover the house and lay their claim. Rick narrowly escapes with Carl and Michonne, and they make their way to...
While Daryl and Beth are still alone searching for friends and shelter, Beth decides this is a good time to have her first drink.
Wait, really?
Pounding moonshine and stabbing faces, all the makings for a good time. We then learn that Daryl is a shitty drunk as he acts like a complete ass to Beth. Once they sober up, the two connect and continue on their long road to safety.
Bob, Maggie, and Sasha are transported into John Carpenter's The Fog. Ooh. And fight off some bitey babies. They get away unscathed for the most part.
Don't worry, folks. He's fine.
Maggie leaves them behind to keep the two from harm. Bob and Sasha come to an impasse. Sasha won't risk her life any further for Maggie's cause, and Bob won't let Maggie be alone. They kiss.
Bob's getting it!
And they go their separate ways as Bob searches for Maggie. Meanwhile, Beth and Daryl find a home to stay at, and they begin to get comfortable. Oh, this is so nice. Until things get uncomfortable. In their escape, Beth gets kidnapped.
By whom?
And Daryl is left alone. It doesn't take long for him to meet the gang of men Rick ran into earlier. Sasha finds Maggie first, and they catch up to Bob. On to Terminus, where Glenn seems to be headed too.
Carol, Tyrese, and the girls find a cozy little home to settle down in.
Oh, just a couple of peas in a pod.
As Mika gains some courage and becomes a better fighter, Lizzie begins to unravel as her obsession with the undead concerns Carol and Tyrese, until she takes it way too far.
Lizzie, you son of a bitch.
After this tragedy, Carol must do what's necessary to keep them all safe.
Kaboom! Oh my gosh! Glenn starts running towards his love girl, but the group stops at a dark tunnel.
I bet there's spooky stuff in there.
Which is why Abraham bids farewell.
Bon voyage.
Glenn and Tara head in. They're catching up to Maggie. Nearby, as Michonne and Carl fuck around on some railroad tracks and eat candy bars, the new dickhead of the show claims Daryl's breakfast.
What a silly rule.
Claiming the vest.
It's claimed. Claimed. Claimed.
Claim.
Claimed. Claimed. You claim it? Claimed.
Claimed.
Claimed. Claimed.
After he tries to frame Daryl for taking his part of the rabbit, Joe serves up some justice.
Well,
In the tunnel, Glenn and Tara are cornered, but look who decides to return. Abraham, Eugene, and Maggie! As the groups are beginning to converge, Glenn and Maggie's team finally reaches Terminus.
Rick, Carl, and Michonne set up shop somewhere along the road when they're politely approached by the Claim group.
Claim.
Rick picks up a trick or two from the walkers and rips out the leader's throat, and the gang kills the group of men.
Talk about a sore throat.
Following the gruesome encounter, they head to Terminus where they sneak in to make sure things are A-okay. Of course, there's something more to this sanctuary than meets the eye. They're then herded to a storage container where most of the crew is reunited.
They're fucking with the wrong people.
What's going on in Terminus? Why is Gareth such an asshole? How will the gang get out of this one?
These are begging questions that will be answered in next week's Season 5 recap of AMC's The Walking Dead.
Subscribe to our channel and like and comment on the video below. Thanks for tuning in, guys.